So we're going to dive into the mind of a psychopathic killer for this. It'll be fun. Happy thoughts beforehand, deep, slow breaths during, and then happy thoughts when we're done. We don't want to get lost in this mindset, but we do need to explore it a bit to understand what's happening in the movie. As stated in the first video about the menu, the story is the recipe. This helps elevate the writing. It's not just an experience to be enjoyed, it's a work of art to be appreciated. Part of the reason the chef is so good at what he does is that he demands perfection.
We strive for perfection, which of course does not exist, and that is a hard truth for me to accept, so please forgive me.
When he set out to create this menu, he did so with the perfect plan. To pull off, Chef had to dip into a different artistic field, interpersonal relationships. There is an artistry to communicating with other people, and because of how language works, it can be used to manipulate. The chef's plan of incorporating these people into his masterpiece requires manipulating them so that they are willing participants in the end. The recipe we're going over isn't for food, but for psychological conditioning. This element is similar to the character design in that the complement added to the element is subtle. The chef isn't boiling the human representation of starch or dipping the human representation of bread into oil. He's treating them all like humans, but in such a way that allows them to be used in culinary arts. There's not a one-to-one comparison being made, and once again, if there were a one-to-one comparison being made, it would change the tone. By having a subtle touch, the tone is better suited for a dark comedy. To begin, the ingredients are gathered. They're provided the experience they expect for the money they've paid, and the reputation of the business. The chef even plays up the picky critic's self-centered ego, so she digs even deeper into the belief that the entire night is all about her.
I honestly think that this whole thing is just for our benefit.
In my opinion, the chef did this to better help manipulate her in the end. The chef provides them normal courses for the first few meals, allowing them to settle into the experience, putting them at a good, relaxed baseline so that they're perfectly situated to have their psyches cracked open. The tone of the night changes with the taco night meal. This is where the ingredients first show their individuality.
Oh, thank God he didn't.
What the fuck was that?
I love
Yeah,
it. It's like
you like it?
yeah, it's a backstory to what makes him a chef artist.
Is this a public?
Oh, I love it.
Dark sense of humor.
He's such an intense dude.
I think this meal not only ramped up the change in tone, but it also gives the ingredients and the audience an understanding of why these people were chosen. To be more specific, this meal is the first step in preparing the ingredients and accepting their fate in the end. They get a hint of why they were chosen, and this also serves to round the diners out for the audience. The first big move comes with the mess. The diners are fully immersed in the experience, waiting on something a little extraordinary, but ultimately mundane. Instead, they're provided a psychological shock, breaking all of them from their comfort and bringing into the experience the possibility of danger. To me, this is similar to shocking in that it introduces an extreme difference in the current temperature for certain effects. The most notable similarity for the effect is that shocking can help with removing the skin from certain fruits or vegetables, and this shocking move is to help psychologically beat the diners into submission and remove their desire to leave. After the mess, the businessman is harmed in front of everyone, further instilling fear in the diners, throwing them mentally off balance. I don't think this is necessarily a part of the recipe, but they definitely planned for the possibility. Next comes the palate cleanser, which is used to wash away previous taste so that diners can have a clean palate for their next meal, to prevent unwanted flavors from mixing. And like that, chef uses this time to wash away the diners' expectations. No longer are they going to consume the art, they're going to be consumed by the art.
Think of yourselves as ingredients in a degustation concept.
There is no escape and no reason to fight against this. By killing Doug Varick, someone so important to his business, it shows them that they aren't safe, further heightening tension for the diners as well as the audience. The next step is giving the diners a chance to escape, allowing them to exert full effort, and once they fail, they're psychologically more likely to give up and submit. Now, for the sake of brevity, writers can and should use generalities or extremes to make a point in a clear and concise way. For this part of the movie, the men are sent running for their lives, even when they didn't want to.
You too.
And the women, they use the social side, trying to persuade their way to freedom.
It's so good.
It's really good.
You know, it's the emoji for me.
Emoji.
However, the person they had to persuade is the same person who came up with the idea to kill everyone, and she's too proud to be swayed. So everyone puts in their best effort and wind up with disappointment, making it even more unlikely that they'll want to try again. Next, we'll want to trim the fat. The people who offer the least to the arts are removed before the final masterpiece. They don't deserve to be a part of it. I did see being fat needing to be trimmed away as the poser's role, but it seems the chef didn't have this in mind. It was improvised.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to apologize to you all. What you just saw was not originally part of tonight's menu.
But story-wise, that is his role. This just means this part isn't a part of the recipe that the chef originally came up with. It really does seem like the original date for the poser was meant to die based on what happened to Margot afterwards. And I find it hard to believe that the original date would be taken out early, but not the poser. I guess this part will remain the chef's secret as far as the poser's original step in the recipe goes. The last bit is only if necessary. I'm sure that chef expected Elsa to take out whomever he pitted her against. But being the perfectionist he is, he relegates a member of the kitchen to go out on the boat in case a person is able to get to the shorthand radio.
So in a kitchen, we all work together and nothing works at all.
This last burst of hope is followed by searing disappointment while the staff jokes around. This is the final step to getting the participants in that perfect state, compliant enough to be dressed and sugared like a dessert. All right, everyone, deep breaths. Happy thoughts to end. We're not psychopaths. We just enjoy exploring their mindset every now and again. This is the heart of the story. The battle between Chef and Margot will be covered in the next video about presentation, and that's because she's crafted to do as little damage as possible to the story we just went over. She's a part of why we're able to witness Chef Slowik's final masterpiece. If you enjoyed this review, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.